Potato Lord had returned, but he was different now. The powerful aura that Jeremy and Garden had felt just from standing behind him was completely gone. It felt like they were just standing in front of a man. "Lord, don't call me that, Garden. I'm mortal now." "How?" "I was using all my strength to keep the Carrot Goddess trapped. We were in a stalemate. I guess even our bodies couldn't take it, and we eventually lost all of our otherworldly powers. We're human now." As if the Carrot Goddess had been waiting for her cue, she ran up out of nowhere and punched the hooded man in the shoulder spitefully before running off again. Her target seemed unfazed. "Ignore her. She can't do any damage in this form." "If you're not our lord," Jeremy began, "then what shall we call you?" Their beloved Potato Lord appeared to be taken aback. He had never had a real name before. He had never needed one. The only one who had ever spoken to him previously was his sister, and most of the names she had for him were profanities. He did know of something that he liked, though. "Canis," he answered. "Call me Canis." Jeremy smiled that smile that made it impossible to distrust him. "I have no intention of returning, though. I merely wished to inform you of what happened. I didn't want you to think that I had abandoned you, but I understand that I am no longer of use to you or your town." "You think this cripple's of use to me?" Jeremy joked, gesturing to Garden. Garden smacked him over the back of the head. "You're welcome here, whether you're the Potato Lord or Canis." Meanwhile, the Carrot Goddess was returning to the place her own followers had called home while they were with her. It had been looted, terrorized, and littered with potatoes. She spat angrily on the ground and kicked one of the vegetables away before leaving again. It wasn't that she had anything she felt she needed to say to the boys. She was just curious. She wanted to know where they were. They had probably gone back to hating her. She would understand, but she wanted to see it with her own eyes before she could move on. She eventually found them scavenging in the ruins of a nearby city that had been destroyed decades ago. To her surprise, they seemed to be getting along even better than when she had last seen them. Quietly, she crept over and peered out from behind a pillar. Unfortunately, Isaiah spotted her. Her heart leapt into her throat and she quickly hid. It didn't matter, though. Isaiah and Dan came around looking for her. "I lost my powers," she explained to keep them from building up any false hope. "I'm just a mortal now." "So that makes you human?" Isaiah clarified. The Carrot Goddess nodded. "In that case, will you marry me?" Isaiah grinned from ear to ear, but all the goddess did was turn bright red. "Or you could marry me," Dan suggested, leaning on Isaiah's head and squishing him down with a smirk. Tears welled up in the Carrot Goddess's eyes. "I failed you," she sobbed. "I said that I would protect you, but I didn't. Why aren't you angry with me? Why don't you hate me? I said that I would protect you, but I didn't. So why aren't you angry? Why don't you hate me?" Neither knew what to say, so Dan just reached out and gave her a pat on the head. As soon as he touched her, she flung her arms around the both of them and wailed uncontrollably. As the weeks passed by, another familiar face returned to the church. Jeremy's eyes lit up with excitement, and he rushed out to greet his friend. "Red!" he cried, nearly tackling the dark-skinned man to the ground. "Where have you been? Did something happen? Why did you leave?" "I left because I knew things were about to get serious," Red squawked. "And we all know who the first is to go when people start getting killed. The black guy!" Jeremy rolled his eyes. "I got the hell out of here before I could be taken out." From the looks of the church, it was the smart thing to do. "You're probably right," Jeremy confessed. "Come on, I have to show you something." Despite the massive hole in the wall, they walked through the broken door to the church and found Canis around the back. He was drinking cheap whiskey and just staring at the flames in the furnace where they used to burn the carrots they had hated so much. Red was smart enough to figure out who this drunk used to be on his own. All of a sudden, Canis began spilling his liquor all over the floor of the building. He then lit a cigar in the fire and smoked one puff before dropping it to the ground. Red and Jeremy panicked, immediately taking action. Red caught the cigar before it could hit the whiskey, and Jeremy restrained Canis. Canis writhed about and cursed, but he was too intoxicated to fight Jeremy off. "Burn it!" he exclaimed. "It's all lies anyway. I'm not a god, just burn it." "You have nothing to do with it," Jeremy barked, making Canis freeze. "God or not, the potatoes are still potatoes. You told me once that a man can live on potatoes with a bit of butter." Canis pouted childishly, his face flushed from the alcohol. "Potatoes are good," he admitted, "but that doesn't make everything else all right." He pulled away from Jeremy and stalked out of the building. As he left, he passed Garden. "Where's he going?" Red shrugged in response. "Where are you going?" Jeremy called. "To put things right." He had to bring Dan and Isaiah back. There was no point in them continuing to fight a war where there should have just been sibling rivalry between Canis and his sister. They should never have been involved in the first place, so he owed it to them to at least put things back the way they were. Somehow, watching the man leave, Jeremy knew that he would never see him again. "It looks like it's going to rain," Garden noted quietly. "Yeah," Jeremy agreed. "Yeah, it does." At that time, the storm was already hitting the city ruins where Isaiah and Dan had taken refuge. As the rain began pouring down, Dan took the carrot goddess back to their shelter as quickly as he could while Isaiah packed up their fishing gear. As soon as they were in the cave, Dan peered back out to see if Isaiah was all right. "It came on really fast," he commented. The carrot goddess sat down in the empty cavern and hugged her knees. "I suppose it did." "I've been meaning to ask you something." "What is it?" "Did you really come to me that time because you thought I was the strongest? Or was it because you knew I was the weakest?" The carrot goddess didn't respond. "You knew that I was the most likely to be the first to listen to you. I knew it as soon as I heard you. That's why I was so angry. And that anger was the only reason I could pretend to have so much faith in the Potato Lord." He frowned to himself. "I just couldn't feel it like the others did." "Can we not talk about this anymore?" the carrot goddess requested. Dan turned to see the sincerity in her eyes and dropped the conversation. He also noticed that she was shivering. He took off his coat and gave it a shake before kneeling down to drape it over the carrot goddess's shoulders. She wrapped it around herself and nuzzled into it for warmth. Dan couldn't help snickering at her. It was hard to believe that this was the powerful deity that had caused him so much grief on their first encounter. A few more moments passed before Dan realized that he hadn't moved. He stared into the grey, melancholic eyes of his goddess. She gazed back at him until she noticed something at the mouth of the cave. Dan followed her line of sight back to where Isaiah stood. Lightning flashed across the sky, lighting up his silhouette. He dropped the fishing poles and bait, his face lacking his usual smile. "Shall I just leave you two in privacy?" he sneered, turning to leave. The carrot goddess leapt to her feet and went to pursue him. "Isaiah!" she called. At the sound of her voice, Isaiah just picked up his pace and ran out into the thundering rain. "He can take care of himself," Dan assured. "But he shouldn't have to," the carrot goddess argued. "You shouldn't be any more divided than you already are." She took off after Isaiah, pulling Dan's coat up over her head for some protection. "Goddess, you needn't go out in this weather." It was too late. The carrot goddess had already left his vision through the heavy rain, and Isaiah had left hers. She couldn't see a thing and eventually tripped into the mud. She fell to her hands and knees with a small squeal and trembled in the cold. "Is someone there?" came a voice over the rain. "Hello?" the carrot goddess called. "Where are you?" "Over here. I slipped and fell." The carrot goddess crawled towards the voice and found a hole. She peered down and, as the lightning flashed, saw Canis staring back up at her, his black cloak soaked through. There was no way that she could hold it in. The carrot goddess threw back her head and laughed. "Don't laugh! Help me!" The wet soil broke away under the carrot goddess's hands, and she fell forwards into the pit with a shriek. Canis instinctively caught her, and they both fell into a puddle. Now they both laughed. "This wasn't what I had in mind when I wanted things to go back to normal," Canis chortled. "Do you think they'll find us?" "Maybe. But what if they don't? I've been trying to climb out of here for nearly an hour. The wall is too steep." I'm too exhausted to fight with you anymore. Fair enough. The Potato Lord and the Carrot Goddess sat together as they always had. They were never found. However, the 5 men who had been dragged into this chaos were reunited of their own accord. After all, even though they would argue the values of potatoes and carrots, they could all agree that they preferred corn. So that was the final chapter of the Great Vegetable War. James, I finished it. You wanna come say something?
Get off the floor. James, come back.
No.
Come on,
You don't
don't
know
be
me
my
well.
friend. Do you have no feelings about the ending of the Great Vegetable War? No, you don't, because you didn't even read it. So I think to celebrate, we should sing. We should do that duet from El Dorado. We should sing "It's Tough to Be a God."
I said no.
Oh, my friend. Do you remember the song?
No. I don't remember the movie that
You
one.
don't remember?
I remember it existed. Don't. No,
You come back here. We're YouTubing this. No,
Get out of
come
here.
here.
No.
Come here.
I want to sing.
James, I'll mess you up. I want to show you. Come here. Move the couch in front of the door. Come on. Come on. Yeah, Jamie, be nice, please. So James is a poo, but we already knew that. El Dorado. Here. No! What you?
There we go. No.
Why do you hate fun?
I remember this song now.
Come on, drink on, do this. Okay.
No.
It'll be fun! It'll be fun! I'm just gonna sing a duet with my brother for
Whenever I have to enforce
For the role, James! For the role! Fine. Screw you. You're just a bad person.
You're trying to get me to. You're trying to force me into something and saying it's fun.
It's fun.
It's never fun if you have to bang the bed shouting it's fun. Get someone else to do it.
No, I want to do it with my brother who was a god with me. That's the point. Do you have no feelings you want to convey to the viewers about the story that has just been told?
No.
Oh wait, you don't have feelings!
No, right away. Maybe ask Emily if she has any feelings about this.
Emily, do you have any feelings about this?
No, I hate you.
You're a translator.
No, I hate you.
Oh, oh, I see. You're a bad person and I hate you and I think you're a poo.
I keep forgetting how old you are, you know.
I'm a big girl. Due to the fact that,
What's her face?
due to the fact that most of your viewers are 5 American boys.
Really? Oh, yeah. Shut up.
And due to that fact, they probably think I have a hilarious accent.
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 You just said accent.
I have an accent. What am I doing? Well, should we just say goodbye?
Get away from me, fun.
Free my cat.
Yeah, I'll open it just enough so she can see freedom, but we'll never reach it.
That's so mean. Bye, James. Go.
Excuse me, you're in?
I said goodbye, James.
Go sing a song. Sorry.
Oh.
Hey, this is all that.
Reverse psychology works on you and Sarah.
That cat. That door is
She likes to go out that door. Her favorite door. That door sucks.
all of them.
All of those doors. No, it doesn't even matter. If just one of them sucks, she won't be able to go out that way. You too.